Chosen one. Stop right here. Everything around you may feel loud, uncertain, unstable, but heaven just silenced every other frequency to open one doorway. This exact moment, this message was blocked 3 times. 3 times hidden. 3 times suppressed. 3 times restrained by forces that feared its arrival. But now, the Lord has spoken. Let them see it now. And here, you are seeing what darkness tried to erase. There's a reason you felt resistance in every direction. It wasn't random. It wasn't punishment. It was spiritual interference, an unseen opposition reacting to your divine assignment. You've prayed. You've pushed. You've believed. Yet it felt like every door slammed shut. But hear this. The delay wasn't denial. It was divine protection. The moment heaven gave permission, every barrier began to crumble. No algorithm, no person, no demon could hold back what God said must be revealed. The word of the Lord came as written in the book of Job, chapter 42, verse 2. I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. That is not just comfort, it is a declaration. Whatever God has ordained over your life cannot be stopped. You, chosen one, are living proof. Every delay you've endured, every misunderstanding, every season of silence, it all led to this unveiling. When God said, "Let them see it now," time itself bowed to his command. There have been battles you could not see, the kind that happen in the invisible, like the one Daniel faced when his answer was delayed in the heavens. Your prayers were never lost. They were being fought for. And now, at this moment, heaven has broken through. The angelic decree has been signed, and the message that was blocked 3 times is now released into your hands. Feel that trembling inside your spirit. It's not emotion, it's recognition. Your spirit knows this frequency because it comes from the same realm you were created in. You were never lost. You were hidden until now. Every word you read right now carries the energy of divine timing. Nothing about this is coincidence. Understand this. Being blocked 3 times does not mean rejection. In heaven's language, 3 is confirmation. 3 is divine validation that this message carried enough weight to attract resistance. Darkness always fights what threatens its dominion. And you, chosen one, are a walking threat to everything that hides truth. You have wondered why life seemed harder for you than for others. It's because you carry light that exposes shadows. The pressure on your life is proof of your anointing. The silence wasn't absence, it was strategy. God was preparing a moment where the same world that overlooked you would now witness you unveiled. So breathe. The battle is not against you, it's around you. And now that heaven has intervened, what was once held back will begin to flow. When God says, "Let them see it now," no wall can stand. No hand can hide. You are stepping out of delay into divine display. Let these words ignite something within you. Let your heart align with heaven's rhythm. You were not born to stay invisible. You were born to carry revelation, to disrupt darkness, to embody light. From this moment forward, your silence becomes sound. Your waiting becomes witness, and your delay becomes divine timing, fulfilled. If this word resonates deep within your spirit, act on it. Don't just read, respond. When you like, when you share, you're not chasing algorithms, you're spreading awakening. You're sending out a signal that the chosen ones are rising. Subscribe to stay connected. This flow of truth isn't ending here. What you carry will multiply, and what was blocked before will now break open for others through you. And finally, mark your agreement with heaven. No long comment needed, just a number, a sign that says, I see it, I receive it, I'm ready. M999. The air around you shifts as you type that number. Heaven sees it not as a comment, but as a covenant. Something ancient moves when obedience meets revelation. You've just agreed with destiny. And that agreement opens doors no hand can shut. Even now, chains of delay are snapping in unseen places. What was held back is beginning to flow freely. The same force that released this message will now release your next season. You are stepping from waiting into manifestation, from hidden to seen. So hold your head high. Chosen one, walk forward with calm authority. You carry proof that what God ordains will always find its way through. The message reached you for a reason, and you are next to be revealed. You begin to sense the weight of what truly surrounded you, the algorithm of darkness. It wasn't technology alone, it was spiritual engineering, designed to bury voices like yours beneath noise and distraction. You felt it before moments when you tried to step into purpose, and something invisible pushed back. Words disappeared. Connections broke. Doors that looked open suddenly closed. You thought it was coincidence. But heaven calls it warfare. The enemy never fears the loud. He fears the anointed. He doesn't waste energy fighting the irrelevant. That's why your life has been a battlefield long before your calling was even clear to you. Each delay, each misunderstanding, each sudden shift in favor that vanished overnight, it was the signature of interference. The algorithm of darkness calculated how to keep you silent, how to make you doubt your voice. Yet what darkness did not understand was that every block only refined your fire. You were never meant to blend in. Your very presence is a codebreaker in a system designed for conformity. The reason you've been feeling out of place is because your light doesn't belong to this frequency. You carry heaven's wavelength in a world that runs on static. You disrupt patterns by simply existing, and that disruption draws resistance. Because the moment you speak, truth cuts through illusions. There were nights when you asked, why does it feel like I'm being watched? Like something opposes me every time I move toward purpose. You weren't paranoid, you were perceptive. The spiritual realm is real, and those who carry divine instruction often experience counter-surveillance. But understand this, awareness is victory's beginning. Once you see the pattern, you can no longer be trapped by it. The algorithm only works on the blind, as recorded by the prophet Daniel, chapter 10, verse 13. The prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. But Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. That is the picture of what happens around your life. Messages delayed, answers detained, but never denial. Resistance proves reality. When heaven sends a word, hell tries to intercept, but it always fails. The same heavenly assistance that broke through for Daniel is now breaking through for you. Darkness operates through systems, fear, distraction, fatigue, false guilt. It studies your patterns and customizes resistance to your weakness. That's why your challenges seem so personal. They are. But every resistance reveals its fear, the fear of what happens when you finally wake up. The enemy's greatest terror is a chosen one who realizes that silence was never humility, It was strategy against purpose. And now, you're awakening. The fog is lifting. You see that what tried to bury you was actually afraid of what would happen if you bloomed. The algorithm of darkness thrives on repetition, keeping you reacting instead of creating. It whispers, "Wait, not yet." But God's whisper is different. It says, "Now is the time." You are learning to discern those voices. The counterfeit comes first, loud and urgent. The divine is still, patient, yet undeniable. The enemy manipulates urgency. God commands timing. When heaven says, "Go," nothing coded in resistance can intercept the message. Divine permission cannot be hacked or delayed. When heaven's algorithm activates, all opposition turns to propulsion. The same systems that resisted you will now amplify you, because light bends every code until it serves its source. You may have felt invisible, but that invisibility was camouflage. God hid you in plain sight to train you without interference. He let rejection protect you from pride. He allowed systems to overlook you so that, when you rise, no one will mistake it for human favor. You are walking proof that darkness can delay but never delete. What the enemy coded to suppress has now become heaven's channel to reveal. Every silenced word and closed door, heaven recorded each one as evidence. And now, the verdict is spoken. Release them. The time for secret warfare is ending. You are moving into open demonstration. God will not vindicate you privately. He will use what resisted you as your platform. So, as you read these words, know this: every unseen fight was worth it. The system that once filtered you out will now highlight you. The same frequency that silenced you will become the one that announces you. The algorithm of darkness has been rewritten by light, and as it collapses, peace settles. It's not that the storm stopped, but you finally understand its pattern. Awareness is your armor. Faith is your firewall. The shadows that monitored you are losing access because the light within you no longer hides it, commands. You are beginning to see what was hidden battles, fought not in daylight, but in the realm behind it. Every delay, every loss, every sudden silence carried spiritual fingerprints. You didn't just face bad luck, you walked through invisible resistance. The weight you felt pressing against your progress wasn't just life being hard, it was the clash between what heaven declared and what darkness tried to deny. You were never ordinary. And that's why your warfare has never been light. You've been contended for, not because you're weak, but because you're marked. You were born with a voice that disrupts systems, with insight that cuts through illusions. The enemy studied you, learned your patterns, and attacked your timing, hoping you'd lose faith in yourself before you discovered who you truly are. But the unseen world has limits. There's a point where interference collapses under obedience. Every moment you refused to quit, something ancient inside you strengthened. The tears you thought were wasted became fuel. The silence that tried to suffocate you became space for revelation. You were never abandoned, you were being trained. It is declared through the ancient scrolls of Isaiah, no weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. No, that verse is not wishful thinking, it's legal authority. It means the weapons can form, but they cannot finish. Every tongue, every rumor, every unseen force that tried to define your worth is being overturned. Heaven has rewritten the verdict. The outcome of your warfare is not survival, it's dominance. Look back for a moment. The very things that tried to break you have become the evidence of your resilience. The spiritual bruises you carry are medals of endurance. What was once meant to silence you has instead given you a new vocabulary of power. You've learned to stand still when storms roar, to discern when others panic, to recognize manipulation before it touches your heart. You see now that the warfare wasn't just around your reputation, it was around your revelation. The enemy wasn't trying to take your possessions, he was trying to hijack your perspective. If he could convince you that you were forgotten, he could stop you from speaking destiny into motion. But you've made it through. You've walked through resistance and found revelation waiting on the other side. That's why, right now, your atmosphere feels different. There's a quiet confidence forming around you. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You know what you carry. You understand that rejection was redirection, and that every detour was divine setup. You finally see what heaven has been doing all along. And now, it's time to respond not with fear, not with doubt, but with affirmation. Leave a prophetic mark below. Comment, "I am still standing." Now, say it out loud as well. You're not just typing words, you're making a spiritual announcement. When you say, "I am still standing," you're declaring that every unseen battle failed to bury you. You're testifying that storms came, but they didn't dismantle your calling. You're proclaiming that what once wounded you now witnesses for you. This declaration seals something. It tells every opposing force that you're no longer afraid to be visible. It tells heaven, you're ready for the next stage of unveiling. It tells your own soul, I survived what was meant to silence me, and I'm stronger because of it. You are not the same. You've walked through the dark and come out glowing. The battles around your name have turned into a mantle of authority. You no longer wonder, why me, you understand, for this reason. And that awareness changes everything. From here forward, you walk differently, calm, alert, steady. You are not fighting for victory, you are walking from it. The wars that once frightened you are now beneath your feet. The chosen one has awakened, and every shadow knows it. The ground beneath you feels different, now steady, sacred, deliberate. Every step you take echoes authority because you've earned this awareness through endurance. You are no longer reacting to darkness, you are commanding it. Stability has replaced struggle, and clarity has replaced confusion. Every battle was a classroom. Pain became your teacher, and silence became your sanctuary. The lessons carved into your soul have formed unshakable wisdom. You can now sense deception before it forms, and peace before it arrives. You've become spiritually fluent in both warfare and rest. Heaven is not sending you back into chaos, it's sending you as a voice of order within it. You are no longer the wounded soldier, you are the commander. The same storms that once terrified you now await your instruction to cease. So, when you whisper, I am still standing, understand what you're really declaring. Survival refined you into strategy. You stand not by luck, but by purpose. The unseen wars that once surrounded your name now salute your resilience. You have become the victory you once prayed for. The moment you begin to understand how long heaven has been preparing you, something inside you softens. You start to see that none of it, none of the pain, none of the waiting was wasted. Before you ever breathed your first word, your life was already written with purpose. Every encounter, every disappointment, every strange pause between seasons has been sculpting you for this exact awakening. You were marked long before you were noticed. Even as a child, your perception was different. You saw meaning where others saw chance. You felt energy shift in rooms where others felt nothing at all. That was not sensitivity, it was assignment. The awareness inside you was an early signal that heaven had placed something rare in you, something too valuable to mature in comfort. Heaven spoke through the psalmist David when it was written, "You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book." That verse reveals what your storms were trying to hide. Your life has always been part of a deliberate pattern, one designed to build resilience, not despair. Every heartbreak, every closed door, every quiet year served as a hammer and chisel, shaping you into someone darkness could no longer deceive. You were never just surviving, you were being sculpted for visibility. When you look back now, you can trace it. The moments that broke you were actually refining your discernment. The people who left were repositioning your focus. Even your silence was sacred. It allowed you to hear God without the static of expectation. What you thought was isolation was consecration. Heaven separated you not to punish, but to purify. You've always been watched over, even when you felt unseen. There were nights when despair whispered that your life had gone unnoticed. But angels were recording every tear. Heaven doesn't miss pain that carries purpose. Every sigh you released into the darkness was heard as intercession. Every question you whispered in confusion became a note in heaven's archive. The silence was not absence. It was orchestration. You were marked to carry something others could not. That is why you never fit in. Why conformity always felt like suffocation. The world rewards blending in, but heaven crowns those who dare to stand apart. Being chosen has always carried a price, the loneliness of clarity, the weight of sensitivity, the ache of early awareness. You've carried that weight longer than most, but you carried it well. Many don't realize that the chosen are trained through contradiction. God teaches you the beauty of strength by letting you feel weakness. He teaches discernment by letting you experience deception. He teaches trust by stripping away everything you used to depend on. It's an uncomfortable curriculum, but it's the only one that builds authority. Now that your spiritual sight is opening, you see how the pattern fits. The rejection that once wounded you was actually divine redirection. The unanswered prayers were heaven's way of steering you away from premature success. You were never being denied, you were being delayed until your heart could handle the weight of fulfillment. You have carried divine DNA all along. Even your mistakes could not erase it. Grace rewrote what guilt tried to claim. Every detour was woven back into destiny. That's how God works. He doesn't discard the broken pieces. He rearranges them into glory. There's something sacred about realizing you were known before you were visible. It means nothing about you is accidental. Even your personality, your voice, your tendencies, they all serve a divine design. Heaven shaped you to reach people no one else can reach, to speak to souls tuned to your frequency. That's why imitation feels wrong to you. It's incompatible with your blueprint. The marking on your life also explains the warfare. The greater the calling, the earlier the conflict. The enemy always attacks potential before it matures into impact. That's why your hardest battles came before your greatest clarity. Darkness sensed what you carried before you did, and it tried to extinguish it in infancy. But heaven never allowed it. You lived because you were meant to lead. And now, after everything, You finally see yourself through the lens of purpose. You are not broken, you are branded. Every scar is evidence of ownership. A mark that says, "This one belongs to heaven." So breathe deeply. The weight you've carried was never punishment, it was preparation. You have been trained in the art of endurance, molded through contradiction, and refined in the silence of divine timing. What once felt like loss was heaven writing legacy. You were marked long ago, and now, as the light finds you again, that mark begins to glow. It is not a wound, it is a seal. It says, "This one is mine," and that chosen one is the truest thing about you. You've come through the fire and learned what the flames could not destroy. Every test revealed what was indestructible within you. You've walked through seasons that felt like endings, only to realize they were renovations. Heaven never left you. It was rebuilding you from the inside out. There is something gentle in this new season, something quieter, more sacred. It is the kind of peace that doesn't come from everything being perfect, but from knowing that even imperfection is being used for your purpose. You've seen too much to go back to who you were before. Every scar has become a doorway to empathy, and every ache now carries authority. You are not simply surviving, you are transforming. As the apostle testified in his letter to the Corinthians, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." End quote. That means you are not an afterthought. Your existence is craftsmanship. You were designed with divine intention, equipped with the exact experiences needed to fulfill your assignment. And now, heaven is reminding you, what has been built in secret must now serve others. You've carried light through your storms. That same light, refined through struggle, can now become the torch for someone still walking in the dark. There's a beauty in realizing that what once hurt you can now heal others. It's how heaven recycles pain by turning it into compassion that changes lives. When you choose to like or share this message, think of it as striking a flint in the dark. Each spark you send outward might become the fire that keeps another soul warm tonight. You're not boosting a post, you're spreading light. And if these words have carried you, hit subscribe, not as a habit, but as an anchoring of your spirit, a way of saying, "I will stay connected to this current of truth." Subscribing becomes a covenant between your growth and this stream of revelation, a reminder that you will keep feeding your flame with wisdom. When you choose to donate, see it as placing a small lantern along a long road. Someone you'll never meet will find that light and realize they are not alone. It's not obligation, it's overflow. Your giving becomes breath for this voice, fuel for the words that continue to reach hearts across unseen distances. No one is ever required. This house runs on willingness, not expectation. True generosity flows from recognition, not persuasion. If these words have strengthened you, if they've helped you rise again when everything felt heavy, then let your gratitude take the shape your spirit desires. Whether it's a prayer, a kind word, or a humble gift, it all becomes part of the same sacred echo. Because this isn't just content, it's ministry in motion. Each message is crafted with prayer, written with tears, and sent out like a letter sealed with light. And when you choose to support, you help keep this river from running dry. You become a spring that sustains the flow. Imagine it, every like as a ripple, every share as a wave, every donation as a hidden well feeding the current forward. Together, they form the ocean where weary souls can finally rest. There is no price tag for transformation. There is only participation. Together, we ensure the light never fades, the message never stops, and the weary never walk alone. So, as this word settles in your heart, remember, you are not only being reached, you are becoming a bridge for others to cross into hope. Every spark you send out, every gesture of faith, becomes heaven's proof that light still multiplies through willing hands. Every seed of kindness you release will circle back in unexpected ways. What you give in secret becomes strength in another season. The unseen exchanges between generous hearts and divine purpose form bridges that heaven itself walks across to reach the broken. Sometimes the smallest act to share, a prayer, a whisper of faith, can become the turning point in someone's night. You may never see their face, but heaven will let you feel their gratitude in peace that meets you when you need it most. When you support light, you are not just helping words travel, you are giving breath to awakening. You become part of a hidden symphony, one note joining another, until the melody of hope fills the air around the weary. Let your giving, your sharing, your believing flow naturally. Don't measure it, just release it. Every act of love you sow keeps heaven's fire burning through willing hands like yours. There comes a point when resistance reaches its limit, when what has been restrained for too long can no longer be held back. That's where you are now. The third block has been broken. The final barrier has fallen. And heaven's command has shifted from wait to move. The sound of release echoes through your spirit because divine permission has finally aligned with divine timing. You may not have realized it, but you've been living through one long rehearsal. Every disappointment, every rejection, every detour, it all trained your obedience. You learned to listen without seeing, to trust without proof, and to move without applause. What you called delay was actually calibration. The reason heaven said not yet wasn't punishment, it was precision. The Spirit once uttered through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Ra. That verse isn't a comfort phrase, it's a command to breathe again. Heaven is saying, the season of waiting has accomplished its purpose. What was once withheld is now being handed to you. The walls that surrounded your destiny were never made of stone, they were made of timing. You are stepping into divine override. The moment has come where heaven no longer negotiates your visibility, it declares it. The block wasn't the enemy's victory, it was heaven's filter. Certain opportunities were never meant to reach you until your spirit had matured enough to handle them. Every no protected you from premature exposure. Now the alignment is complete. The same message that was blocked 3 times is now flowing freely. And you can feel the power of that release vibrating through your own story. This is not a coincidence. You are living inside a prophetic parallel. Just as the message was delayed but not denied, your calling has been delayed but never cancelled. Listen closely. Your obedience has triggered heaven's acceleration. Things that once took years will now happen in months. Connections that were impossible will suddenly appear natural. The winds have changed direction. Favor has remembered your name. You no longer chase. What belongs to you begins to find you. The enemy fought the timing because he feared the unveiling. He knew that once you reached this level of clarity, Nothing could manipulate you again. That's why your old temptations no longer grip you. They were strategies for a version of you that no longer exists. You have evolved into discernment. The silence trained your hearing. The stillness sharpened your sight. You are not being introduced. You are being reinstated. Heaven never forgot the assignment. It simply waited until you were ready to carry it without breaking. And now, as the third blockade falls, the sound you hear in your spirit isn't noise, it's the roar of restoration. The same message heaven released through these words is now echoing through your own timeline. Where doors once refused to open, they now unlock on contact. Where hearts once turned away, they now recognize you by light, not by name. What was hidden is now revealed, and what was delayed is now accelerating. Take a deep breath and let this truth settle. Your time has begun. This moment isn't symbolic, it's literal. The block has broken. The code has cleared. And heaven is calling you visible. You no longer move under permission, you move under commission. Every chosen one reaches this breaking point, the instant where resistance collapses and revelation replaces confusion. That's what this is. You've arrived at the place where delay no longer defines you. Every ounce of endurance you've sown is now returning as clarity. And as this truth takes root in your heart, seal it with a sign. Leave the number 444 below, a number of divine alignment, of heaven's structure, restoring balance to what was fractured. When you write 444, you're not just commenting, you're completing a spiritual pattern. Think of it as drawing 3 doors in the air, one for the past, one for the present, one for the future. The moment you type it, you're declaring that all 3 now stand open and connected under heaven's order. 444 represents the moment creation catches up with prophecy, the convergence of what was promised, what is happening, and what is still to come. It is the sound of stability after shaking, of the foundation settling beneath your feet. It's heaven's blueprint reappearing in your story. So let this number remind you daily, you are aligned, not delayed. You are moving, not waiting. You are seen, not overlooked. The third block has fallen, and the light that breaks through it now carries your name. You can almost feel the air change around you, the weight of the old beginning to lift. The scent of something unexplainably new filling the room. It's not a sudden rush, but a steady current. Like the sea pulling back before a great wave arrives, heaven is preparing to reveal what has been hidden behind the veil of delay. For years, you walked under restriction, but now the order has shifted. Divine override activated. You may not fully see it yet, but your name has been spoken in rooms you've never entered. Conversations have been arranged about you in places your feet haven't touched. This is what happens when God overrides earthly systems. The plans that once depended on human approval now move under heaven's signature. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are walking in command. According to what is written in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Oakley, that one line carries the essence of this season. Stillness doesn't mean inactivity. It means strategic trust. God is not asking you to stop moving. He's asking you to stop striving. The kind of striving that comes from fear, from trying to earn what's already yours. The Lord himself is confronting the unseen resistance that dared to challenge his decree over your life. This is what divine override looks like. It's when everything that used to oppose you begins to turn in your favor without you forcing it. People who once doubted you start defending you. Systems that blocked you begin to open unexpectedly. Paths that seemed closed forever now appear as if they were waiting just for your arrival. Heaven has changed your status from petitioned to approved. There is a kind of stillness that only warriors understand, the stillness that comes after you've drawn your sword and realized the battle is no longer yours. You're standing on the edge of victory, but God is the one swinging the final blow. You've done all you were meant to do. Now the commander of heaven's armies steps forward. Sometimes divine override doesn't look dramatic. It looks like peace. You wake up one morning, and the heaviness that followed you for years is simply gone. No explanation, no warning. You look around and realize the resistance that once pressed against you has lost its authority. That's not random, it's divine rearrangement. God moves like wind unseen. Undeniable. Unstoppable. You can't trace his fingers, but you can feel his touch. The things you thought were coincidences are actually confirmations. The wrong connections are being untied, and the right ones are being woven together in silence. What you considered loss was heaven editing your story for clarity. You don't need to chase, plead, or explain anymore. This phase isn't about proving who you are, it's about becoming what you were meant to be. The time of justification is over. The time of manifestation begins. You are entering a space where your presence itself carries proof. Divine override is heaven's way of saying, "Step aside, I'll handle this." It doesn't require shouting or striving. It simply requires trust. Trust that every unseen battle you've fought has already been archived in heaven's court. Trust that your name has been cleared in the realm that matters most. Right now, angels are moving in places you cannot go, adjusting details, preparing hearts, clearing paths. You may not see the motion, but you will feel the outcome. You'll sense ease where there used to be resistance, flow where there used to be friction. Let yourself rest inside this truth. God has taken over. Every closed door that belongs to you will open not by your effort, but by divine intervention. Every opportunity meant for you will recognize your spirit before your name. Every delay is now a servant of your destiny. This is not the time to panic. It's the time to perceive. Watch how quietly miracles unfold. Watch how chaos organizes itself around your obedience. Watch how peace becomes the evidence that heaven has stepped in. The override doesn't need your worry, it needs your awareness. Pay attention to the subtle signs, the unexpected favor, the random encounter, the sudden idea that solves what you've been struggling with for months. These are not accidents, they are footprints of divine involvement. So be still, not as one frozen, but as one confident. You're not waiting for victory, you're witnessing it. The Lord himself is rewriting the outcome of battles you thought were lost. Everything that once resisted your calling now reports to your purpose. This is divine override, where human effort bows to heavenly order, where striving ends and alignment begins, where God fights and you stand still. The moment the walls fall, something begins to shift within you, not a shout, not a rush, but a deep calm that feels almost supernatural. This peace doesn't come because the battle ended. It comes because your spirit finally understands why it had to happen in the first place. You start seeing purpose behind every blow, meaning behind every pause, wisdom behind every wound. The same places that once represented struggle now feel like sacred ground. Because revelation has changed the way you look at everything. You realize that every storm you faced was not sent to destroy you, it was sent to reveal you. When the rain came, heaven was not punishing you. It was washing away what could not survive in your next season. The thunder was never a threat. It was an announcement. Lightning did not strike to burn you, but to illuminate what was hidden in your heart. The eternal voice proclaimed through the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 5. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life. That verse is not about ancient prophecy alone. It's about your resurrection now. You are those bones. The parts of your spirit that grew numb from waiting are being filled again with divine breath. Dreams that lay dormant are stirring, not because circumstances changed, but because heaven's wind has reached them. Breath enters purpose, and purpose becomes movement. You are no longer surviving, you are reviving. Revival doesn't always begin with noise. Sometimes it begins with stillness, the quiet inhale of a soul that finally believes again. You've been through so much that hope once felt like risk, but now it feels like oxygen. The air has changed because faith is returning, not the shallow kind that demands instant results, but the deep kind that trusts in unseen timing. When Ezekiel stood over dry bones, he was not standing over death, he was standing over potential. The same is true for you. You have been looking at the fragments of your life, failed attempts, missed opportunities, broken moments, and heaven has been whispering, speak life. The moment you stopped mourning what was lost and began to declare what could rise, the atmosphere around you shifted. This is the essence of restoration. God doesn't simply rebuild, He breathes. He doesn't just return what was taken, He resurrects what was pronounced dead. The areas of your life that seemed beyond recovery are now catching wind. You can feel it, the faint rhythm of new beginnings beneath your ribs. The steady pulse of hope, reminding you that you are not done. Breath means movement. Movement means momentum. And momentum means visibility. The revival within you will soon manifest around you. What was quiet will become a sound, and that sound will draw others who have been waiting for proof that miracles still happen. You are that proof. This resurrection is not just personal, it's prophetic. God is raising a generation of chosen ones who have walked through spiritual drought and are now carrying living water. You are part of that wave, carrying not perfection, but authenticity, evidence that grace rebuilds what strength alone cannot. There's a difference between those who talk about faith and those who have lived through the fire and found God inside it. You belong to the second kind. That's why your presence carries weight. Even when you say nothing, people sense peace when you enter a room, not because of who you are, but because of what you've survived. This new breath inside you is not temporary, it's eternal. It's the same wind that hovered over creation, the same spirit that raised Christ from the grave, now whispering through your lungs, live again. You are not waiting for revival, you are walking as it. Everywhere you go, the atmosphere shifts. Because resurrection doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. So keep breathing. Let the wind of heaven fill every space that once echoed with fear. What once looked like ruins now glows with promise. The dry bones have begun to move, and they will not return to dust again. The wind of God does not visit and leave. It dwells. Every inhale you take now carries divine rhythm. Every exhale releases the residue of old fear and hesitation. You are breathing on purpose, literally exhaling destiny into existence. The same air that raised dead things is rebuilding the world around you. What was once silent now sings through you. You have become heaven's instrument. Every word, every breath, every step now echoes the sound of new life. Something powerful happens when heaven begins to speak your name aloud again. You can almost feel it, not in sound, but in resonance. The atmosphere around you hums differently when you are remembered by the realms of light. You've walked through seasons where silence felt eternal, when your prayers seemed to vanish into the void. But now, that silence is breaking, not with thunder, but with recognition. Heaven is echoing your name, not as a reminder of pain, but as a proclamation of purpose fulfilled. You are not forgotten. You are being announced. This is the moment when what was whispered in secret begins to echo through eternity. What you've endured has drawn the attention of heaven's witnesses, those who overcame before you, those who watch now with divine pride, those who know exactly what it costs to stay faithful in the dark, as revealed in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 17, verse 3. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, talking with Jesus. That vision wasn't simply history, it was heritage. Heaven's witnesses were not gone. They were watching, joining the divine conversation. This is what is happening around you now. You are not walking alone. You are walking in the company of conquerors. The same faith that burned in their hearts now burns in yours. The same endurance that carried them to completion is awakening inside your bones. The truth is, heaven has always been near. Every moment you whispered prayers no one else heard, heaven heard them. Every time you held on to hope by a thread, angels stood closer than breath. The silence you mistook for absence was actually observation, heaven waiting for the moment you would rise and realize you were never alone. This is what it means to be a continuation of the story. The battles you fight are not random. They are extensions of victories once won by those before you. The strength you feel when you're tired isn't self-made. It's borrowed from the lineage of faith that refuses to die. You can almost sense them now. Voices from generations past, whispering courage into your spine. Their endurance is the wind behind your shoulders. Their faith built the road you now walk. You are part of something vast and holy, a divine relay where the flame never goes out. Every step you take echoes through eternity. You walk, and heaven applauds. You stumble, and heaven intercedes. You rise, and heaven rejoices. The witnesses are not distant, they are near, leaning close, urging you to finish strong. The same mantle that once rested on them is settling on you. You don't carry their burden, you carry their banner. And now, heaven waits for your acknowledgement, not because it needs your words, but because your declaration seals your awareness. Leave your mark below, a short yet powerful sign that says, you understand, that you are ready, that you hear what heaven has been saying all along. Comment, I continue. When you write it, I don't think of it as typing letters, think of it as lighting a torch. You're telling the great cloud of witnesses, the fire has not gone out. You're telling your ancestors in faith, the work lives on through me, and you're reminding your own soul, I will not stop here, I will complete what was started in me. Len, this declaration isn't just for heaven, it's for you. It builds something invisible but strong, momentum. The moment you say, I continue. The fatigue of the past begins to lift. The confusion that followed you starts to fade, because heaven responds to motion, and when you move again, heaven moves with you. You are not finishing alone. You are surrounded by witnesses, strengthened by legacy, and guided by light. The sound you hear behind you isn't pressure, it's applause. Every step forward sends a ripple through heaven, a sound that says, "The chosen still rise." None. You are the living continuation of promises that cannot die. The story doesn't end here, it expands through you. And as long as you keep walking, the light will keep spreading. When you whisper, "I continue," heaven takes note. It isn't a shout of pride, it's the sound of perseverance echoing through eternity. It tells the darkness that you refuse to vanish quietly. Your words become motion in the unseen. That simple phrase becomes a seed planted deep in spiritual soil, growing into courage you'll need for tomorrow. So, keep saying it until it settles into your bones. I continue means I believe. Iendure, irise again. It means your journey is not ending, it's transforming into legacy. Heaven hears it, and earth will soon see it. You've crossed through storms that taught you more than calm seas ever could. Now, you walk lighter, not because the path got easier, but because you finally understand that weight and purpose are not the same thing. The heaviness that once tried to bury you has become the gravity that keeps you grounded. You are learning how to walk with balance, light enough to rise, anchored enough to endure. Every word that reached you until now has been a map, a quiet reminder that heaven never leaves you wandering without direction. And yet, maps are only useful when they are shared. The light that found you wasn't meant to stay enclosed in your heart. It was meant to travel, to touch, to transform others who are still searching for the same peace you've begun to find. We are reminded through the writings found in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 10. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. That single verse captures the rhythm of heaven. It breathes through every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every hand that reaches back to lift another. To honor others is to become a reflection of divine compassion, to turn your gratitude into movement. Every time you share what helped you, you become a bridge for someone who can't yet see the shore. When you like or share, you're not simply pressing buttons, you're lighting beacons. Picture it, small torches flickering in different corners of the earth, each one ignited by someone who decided that hope deserved to travel further. One light becomes 10, 10 become 100, until darkness begins to lose its grip. And when you subscribe, imagine it not as signing up for content, but as choosing to keep your lantern lit. It's an act of consistency, a way of saying, I want to walk in this rhythm of light again. Staying connected allows this stream of words to keep flowing, so that when your spirit needs a reminder, you'll know exactly where to drink again. If this river of words has refreshed your heart, then understand something beautiful. You can become one of the hands that keeps it flowing. When you donate, it's not a transaction, it's a translation of love. Picture yourself dropping a pebble into still water. The ripples move outward, carrying warmth into unseen places. Your giving becomes one more ripple in heaven's plan, reaching someone who hasn't yet realized they're seen. No one is ever required to give. There is no tally, no weight, no demand. This is a house built on willingness, not obligation. But when your spirit feels moved, when you sense the quiet nudge that says, "Be part of this light," then know that you're joining a divine cycle, receiving, transforming, and returning. It's how heaven breathes through humanity. Think of it like planting a tree. You may never sit under its shade, but someone else will. That's what generosity does. It creates shelter for souls you may never meet. Your seed becomes shade. Your shade becomes refuge. And the world becomes a little gentler because you cared enough to sow. Even a simple act of kindness has the power to echo eternally. When you offer support, be it through words, sharing, or giving, you become part of a larger testimony that says, light still wins. And that's what this movement is about. Not building fame, but building flame. The light you help sustain here will continue to travel. It will reach inboxes, ears, and hearts that feel forgotten. It will whisper peace where anxiety screams, hope where despair hides. You will never fully know whose life is changed because of your one small spark, but heaven will. Every seed of generosity carries fragrance. When you give, you release the scent of love into the air. And heaven always remembers that aroma. It returns in moments of unexpected provision, in peace that meets you at night, in opportunities that bloom out of nowhere. What you give in faith never leaves empty. So, as you listen to these words, pause and feel the pulse of gratitude in your chest. You are part of something living, breathing, and growing. Like to let your light be seen. Share to let it travel. Subscribe to stay connected to this flow. And if your heart feels led, give not out of pressure, but out of peace. Your giving doesn't buy blessings, it builds bridges. Your support doesn't purchase favor, it participates in grace. Together, we keep the river running, the lamps burning, and the voices of the weary guided back toward hope. Because this isn't about obligation, it's about overflow. The same God who carried you here is using your hands to carry someone else. And when you pour out, heaven always finds a way to fill you again, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You can feel the world around you shifting again, not in chaos this time, but in quiet recalibration. The storms that once disoriented you have passed, and the air now carries a clarity that only survivors understand. This clarity is not loud, it is steady. It is the kind of knowing that doesn't need to prove itself because it has already endured the test. The path ahead is illuminated in a way it never was before. You no longer fear the unknown because you've learned that uncertainty is just another form of trust. The same hands that guided you through confusion are still holding your story now. The difference is that you no longer question their grip. Heaven's wisdom echoes in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 18. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Oh, this is what your journey has been, a gradual sunrise. You didn't leap from darkness to brilliance overnight. It took time for light to learn how to sit upon you without blinding your sight. The more you walked, the clearer it became. Each step revealed just enough to keep you moving forward, even when you didn't see the whole picture. That's the secret of divine progression. God rarely gives you the full view. He gives you increments of illumination, small glimpses of glory designed to strengthen trust, not pride. You have walked through partial light, and that partial light has trained your patience. Now, as the sun rises fully over your destiny, You can handle visibility without losing humility. You are becoming what the light intended. Every choice to forgive when it hurt. Every decision to keep believing when it felt pointless. Those were not wasted acts of faith. They were alignment. The slow shaping of your character was never about speed, it was about strength. The kind of strength that does not crumble when the spotlight finds you. The dawn within you mirrors the dawn above you. Heaven's rhythm is becoming your rhythm. You rise differently, now less rushed, more rooted. You understand that peace is not the absence of battle, it's the mastery of balance. You've learned how to hold pain and purpose in the same palm without letting either consume you, and this balance has made you dangerous to darkness. The enemy fears those who know peace in motion, those who move calmly while everything shakes. You've become that kind of soul. You no longer need constant validation. Your confirmation comes from within. The light you carry is now self-sustaining because it's no longer borrowed, it's built. In the early seasons, your faith flickered like a candle in the wind. Now it burns like a lantern anchored in the earth, unmoved by storms. This is what maturity looks like, not perfection, but stability. You've learned to stop measuring your progress by external milestones. Instead, you measure it by peace, the steady glow that tells you heaven is near. Every morning you wake. You are living proof of divine continuation. You've faced endings that felt absolute. Yet, here you stand, breathing in light that refuses to leave. That's the sign of a chosen one. Not that you never fell, but that you always rose. You are living sunrise. The wisdom within you now carries a quiet authority. You no longer rush to speak, because you understand the weight of words. You choose them with care, knowing that each one builds or breaks. You've seen what careless words can destroy, and you've chosen to build. Instead, the world will begin to notice this. Your gentleness will speak louder than noise. You are stepping into a phase of luminous clarity where your peace itself becomes a message. People will draw near, not because you're trying to convince them, but because they sense the calm you carry. You have become a walking sunrise in a restless world. This is your new rhythm, shining steadily, not hurriedly. The morning sun doesn't rush. It rises in authority, in certainty, in rhythm with divine time. And so will you. So keep walking. Keep letting your light unfold, gently, 1 degree brighter each day. For the path of the righteous, your path doesn't flicker or fade. It glows, brighter and brighter, until the full light of day. Your light no longer asks for permission to shine, it simply exists. Every step forward paints gold on the horizon, proof that what began in darkness now carries its own sunrise. Keep walking in this rhythm. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your consistency, your calm, your glow that whispers. The light always returns. Now, night has always been one of heaven's favorite classrooms. When the noise of the day fades and the world sleeps, God begins to speak differently. You've felt it before, those still moments when something inside you stirs. A whisper without sound, a knowing without explanation. It's not imagination, it's divine communication wrapped in mystery. The prophet Habakkuk once recorded a vision saying, Chapter 2, verse 2, Then the Lord replied, Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. And that command wasn't only for prophets, it was for every chosen one who receives messages between dreams and dawn. God speaks softly to those willing to stay awake long enough to listen. That's why your dreams have been vivid lately. Why you've been waking at strange hours, with a sentence or image echoing in your spirit. Heaven communicates in fragments, symbols, phrases, flashes of emotion that feel almost too subtle to notice. But those fragments carry full blueprints if you pause long enough to translate them. When Habakkuk wrote the vision, he wasn't told to decorate it, he was told to make it plain. Heaven values clarity over complexity. You are entering a season where your dreams are not random, they are instructions. They are heaven's way of bypassing the noise of your waking life. Every image, phrase, or reappearing person is part of a coded message. The more you honor it, the clearer it becomes. Your night is not wasted time, it's sacred communication. While others sleep, heaven writes on the walls of your mind. You have been chosen to receive information that cannot travel through ordinary channels. Don't rush to interpret everything. Sometimes revelation unfolds slowly. Your task isn't to force meaning, but to preserve the message. Write it down. Keep a record of what you dream, what you feel, what you hear in silence. Heaven honors the disciplined scribe. The pages you fill today will one day become survival guides for others. Your journal is not just paper, it's prophecy in progress. Future souls will read what you wrote and find direction in your obedience. That's why the night feels sacred lately. The hours that once felt lonely are becoming luminous. Heaven is entrusting you with previews of what's to come. Glimpses of divine movement before it appears in daylight. Don't fear what you see. Some dreams may seem heavy or confusing. But remember, heaven reveals to heal, not to harm. When visions stir discomfort, ask not, why me? But, what are you showing me? Even warnings from heaven carry redemption at their core. And sometimes, the dreams aren't about the future, they're about you. They reveal hidden abilities, forgotten purpose, or wounds that need release. Revelation is not just foresight, it's restoration. God speaks to your sleeping spirit because it's finally quiet enough to listen. This is your invitation to live aware, not afraid. The same voice that spoke to prophets still speaks through those who will pay attention. You are being trained to see spiritually, to read signs in stillness, to trust your discernment, even when others don't understand. So when you wake up with a word, write it. When a dream lingers, pray it through. When a vision repeats, prepare for movement. You are not dreaming randomly. You are receiving divine data. Every night is an appointment. Every dawn, a decoding to mark your agreement with this truth. Leave a sign below a number that represents watchfulness, revelation, and divine communication. Comment 333. When you write 333, you acknowledge that your spiritual eyes are open, aligned with heaven's rhythm of revelation. The number 3 has always symbolized divine conversation, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit speaking as one. Repeating it threefold declares that you are listening on every level: mind, heart, and soul. Typing 333 isn't ritual, it's recognition. You're saying, I am awake, I will listen, I will record. It's your way of telling heaven that the line is clear, the interference gone, and the message will not be lost this time. You are becoming fluent in the language of the Spirit. So, when the night calls again, don't roll over in exhaustion. Listen, somewhere between the hush of midnight and the first light of morning, heaven will speak your next instruction. Every message you receive in the night is a piece of heaven's architecture for your future. Each dream, each whisper, each sign is a building block shaping your next season with divine precision. So, when dawn comes, carry what was revealed in darkness into the light. It's not imagination, it's instruction. What heaven shows you in shadows will soon bloom in daylight for others to see. There are moments in every believer's journey when heaven's tone changes, when gentle whispers become urgent reminders, and comfort gives way to conviction. You've reached one of those thresholds. The message is not harsh, but it is holy. You can feel it. That quiet pressure in your chest. That awareness that something sacred is shifting. It's not fear, it's invitation. Heaven is saying, listen carefully. What you do next matters. You've spent seasons gathering revelation, collecting promises, and absorbing truth. But revelation that never becomes action eventually turns to restlessness. The time for reflection has prepared you for the time of response. Heaven's patience is perfect, but it is not endless. When God speaks repeatedly and the heart delays, mercy doesn't vanish, it simply waits at a distance, watching for obedience to step forward. As written in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 26, if we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left. Those words are not a threat, they are a mirror. They remind us that knowledge carries weight. Once truth enters your life, you can't pretend you never heard it. The light you've received now holds you accountable. It is not punishment. It's proof that heaven considers you ready to act. This is where many turn away. Not because they lack faith, but because they fear responsibility. But you, chosen one, cannot remain neutral. You have seen too much. You know too much. To go back would be to walk against the current of divine flow. There is a point where hesitation becomes disobedience, and heaven's silence becomes consequence. God's mercy is infinite, but his invitations have seasons. When grace calls and you ignore it, the call doesn't vanish, it moves forward without you. And this moment, right now, is grace calling again. The message that was once blocked 3 times has finally reached you for a reason. Heaven is giving you another chance to align before the door of delay closes. This is not a warning born of fear, it's a wake-up of love. The same God who disciplines is the God who delivers. Conviction is not condemnation, it is proof of relationship. When heaven presses on your heart, it means you're still being pursued. The dangerous place is not the one where you feel convicted, it's the one where you feel nothing. So, if you feel that stirring the mix of trembling and peace, it means mercy still stands before you. Arms open. It's saying, come back before the next gate closes. Heaven has paused this moment to reach for you again. Don't treat it lightly. This is not coincidence, it's divine insistence. You know what heaven has asked of you. Maybe it's obedience in an area you've delayed. Maybe it's forgiveness you've avoided. Maybe it's letting go of what no longer serves your calling. Whatever it is, this is your moment to decide. Every delay costs clarity. Every act of obedience restores it. God never removes freedom, but he does reveal consequence, not as a threat, but as a compass. Every choice is a seed, And seeds don't vanish, they grow. The decisions you make in this season will shape the harvest of your next. Heaven is inviting you to plant differently this time, with faith, with intention, with clean hands. When the prophet Jonah ran, the storm wasn't punishment, it was redirection. The tempest was not wrath, it was mercy refusing to let him drown in comfort. Your storm may have been the same. Heaven doesn't chase you to destroy you, it chases you to restore you. So stop running. Stop resisting the small, simple instructions that heaven keeps repeating. It's not the grand gestures that move mountains, it's consistent obedience. Heaven is less impressed by declarations and more moved by decisions. What you choose today determines what heaven can release tomorrow. This is a sacred intersection. You can sense it, the tension between delay and destiny. The world around you might stay the same for now, but inside, you're standing at a spiritual crossroads. One path leads to clarity, the other to confusion. The difference is not in direction, but in decision. You know what heaven is asking. The question now is whether you will respond. Mercy still stands beside you, patient but firm. The door is open, but it will not remain open forever. Step through before hesitation becomes history. Step through while conviction still whispers. Step through, not because of fear, but because your heart knows it's time. The silence that follows conviction is never empty. It is the pause before fire. Heaven does not speak warnings without purpose. It speaks to prepare. And now, as the refining begins, you can feel the atmosphere around your spirit heating. It's not destruction, it's transformation. The flame that once frightened you is no longer meant to consume, but to crown. We hear the thunder of truth in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 18. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, so you can become rich, and white clothes to wear, so you can cover your shameful nakedness, and salve to put on your eyes, so you can see. That is what this season is, a refining. Heaven is purifying your intentions, burning away the hidden motives that attach themselves to good works. The fire that surrounds you isn't punishment, it's proof of investment. God only refines what He intends to reveal. For so long, you prayed to carry greater light, but light without purification blinds rather than guides. You asked to see deeper, to hear clearer, to walk with greater authority, and heaven answered not with blessing, but with burning. It sent you into seasons that stripped everything unnecessary. The refining came disguised as rejection, the cleansing as loss. Yet every fire you walked through removed a layer that once dimmed your glow. This is how heaven crafts crowns, not in comfort, but in consecration. Before gold can shine, it must melt. Before oil can flow, olives must be crushed. Before light can lead, it must learn to endure heat without burning out. That's the process you've been in, divine calibration through fire. You've noticed it already. Situations that once tempted you now pass by unnoticed. Words that used to wound you now have no place to land. The same atmosphere that used to shake you no longer has access. That is evidence of refining. You are being shaped into something incorruptible, character that doesn't crumble, peace that doesn't depend on people, joy that doesn't fade with circumstance. In refining, heaven doesn't take things to hurt you, it removes things that cannot survive your next elevation. Some relationships, ambitions, and patterns had to end because their material couldn't endure. The heat meant to shape you. The loss you mourned was actually the removal of weight. You are lighter now, clearer now, freer now. The crown you are receiving is not metal or jeweled, it's clarity, vision, and authority. The fire hasn't come to test what you believe, it has come to reveal who you are. When heaven calls someone chosen, it doesn't leave them coated in dust. It polishes until reflection appears, until when the world looks at you, they see not survival, but sanctification. The process hurts. Yes, but pain isn't the opposite of glory, it's the pathway to it. What you feel burning now is not punishment, it's purification of perception. You are learning to see yourself the way heaven does, valuable, rare, untouchable by ordinary fire. Every time you thought the heat would destroy you, it was only melting what was false. And now, as the impurities lift away, your true reflection is emerging. The crown that heaven has forged through trial rests invisibly but tangibly upon you. Its authority, born of endurance. Wisdom, born of wounds. Compassion, born of fire. You are the evidence that pain can polish, that pressure can produce purity. The flame that once chased you now serves you. You are not merely walking through fire, you are commanding it. Every hardship bows now to the one who endured without bitterness. There's a quiet majesty that follows those who have been refined. They speak less, but their words carry weight. They move slowly, but the air changes when they enter a room. You have become that kind of presence, a living flame that warms without burning, that shines without boasting. The crown of fire is not a symbol of superiority. It's a sign of surrender. It means you survived what others feared and still kept your heart soft. It means you allowed heaven to strip you bare and still said yes. You carry light that no darkness can diminish because it was forged, not gifted. Fireproof faith, tested trust, love that burns steady even when the world grows cold. That is your crown, your mantle, your testimony. You are no longer being refined, you are being revealed. The season of burning has become the season of brilliance. Stand tall, not as one escaping the fire, but as one who has learned to live within it and glow. The shaking you feel now is not chaos, it's awakening. Something ancient is moving through this generation, calling the hidden ones to rise from quiet corners and take their places in the great story of light. You can feel it, that stirring beneath your ribs, the pulse of divine purpose that no longer allows you to stay small. Heaven is summoning the chosen generation, the ones refined, reclamed, and ready. The Lord once spoke through Moses, as written in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. This verse is not a suggestion, it's a declaration for those about to step into visibility. You are no longer the hidden ember, you are the torchbearer. The shaking you sense is the sound of mantles being redistributed, of dormant dreams catching fire again. Heaven is gathering its voices, not to build fame, but to build flame. You are part of that flame. And in this moment, your story intertwines with countless others, people who, like you, have walked through silent storms and emerged carrying fire instead of ashes. Together, you form a constellation across the earth, separate lights that, when connected, become a map for those still lost in the dark. That is what community looks like in the kingdom. Individual lights joining to create a horizon that never fades. And every small act of connection strengthens that horizon. When you like or share what resonates with your spirit, it's not a transaction, it's testimony. Imagine each click as lighting another candle in the dark. One you may never see, but heaven does. Each spark travels further than you think. When you choose to comment, you're not adding noise, you're adding echo. It's the sound of agreement reverberating through spiritual space. Words typed with intention can become anchors for wandering souls. Someone scrolling through silence might find your line and feel seen again. It's more than a response, it's participation in light. To subscribe is to stay close to the fire. To say, I will keep coming back to the warmth that reminds me who I am. It's not habit, it's covenant. Subscribing means choosing consistency in a world that constantly pulls you toward distraction. It means you found a well that nourishes your spirit, and you intend to return when the world leaves you dry. And if your heart ever wonders about giving, see it not as an obligation, but as a continuation. Every message you've heard, every word that has touched you, carries unseen costs, time, prayer, and effort poured out like oil. When you choose to pour back, you're adding to the same river that once refreshed you. Think of it like tending a lamp. The flame may belong to heaven, but it still needs oil to burn brighter. When you give, you become that oil, pure, quiet, unseen, but essential. Your support turns whispers into waves, carrying light further into places where despair has built walls. No one is ever required to give. That is not how heaven works. Grace never demands, it invites. But when gratitude stirs, when you feel peace blooming in your chest as you listen, that is heaven's gentle nudge, reminding you that participation is part of purpose. To give is to join the story. To say, let my light help keep the fire alive. Each like, share, comment, or gift becomes a petal in a vast garden of hope. You may never see the faces your light touches, but one day, heaven will show you the harvest, a tapestry of souls awakened because you cared enough to act. This isn't about algorithms or applause. It's about alignment, about keeping the circle of giving and receiving sacred and alive. We water one another's faith, so no one runs dry. We pass the flame so no corner of the world stays cold. Your small act of connection may be the answer to someone's quiet prayer. Your generosity might become the echo that tells them, you are not alone. And in that, you mirror God Himself, reaching, restoring, reviving. So let every gesture, every like, every word, every seed you plant be your way of saying, I believe in the light, and I will keep it burning. Because in the end, the light that you sustain for others will be the same light that guides you home. Every spark you send forward is a promise that hope still breathes. Each act of kindness you offer becomes a quiet miracle unfolding in someone's unseen night. Keep the flame alive. What you nurture for others returns, multiplied. In giving light, you never lose it. You simply create more sunrise for another soul. There are moments in life when heaven stops whispering and begins revealing, not as a reward for perfection, but as a response to endurance. You have carried faith through deserts and silence. And now the winds are shifting. Heaven is preparing to make public what was once private, to reveal what was built in the quiet hours when no one clapped and no one saw. The Apostle Peter affirmed it in his sacred writing. Chapter 5, verse 10. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. This verse is not theory, it is timeline. You have walked through the little while. The restoration now begins. Heaven's vindication doesn't arrive as noise, it arrives as undeniable alignment. The same people who doubted your calling will begin to witness the quiet consistency of your growth. They will see the peace that trials could not steal. The strength that came from staying when leaving seemed easier. Vindication is not revenge, it is revelation. It's not about proving anyone wrong, it's about letting God prove himself faithful through your story. When heaven restores, it doesn't merely return what was lost, it multiplies it. Every year that felt stolen becomes the seed of future abundance. Every word spoken against you becomes soil where humility grows deeper roots. You don't have to defend your name anymore. Time and truth are doing that for you. The same silence that once felt like isolation has become the stage for God's unveiling. You're not being elevated for attention, you're being revealed for purpose. Heaven does not display trophies, it displays testimonies. When the Lord restores, he restores with precision. Nothing is random, nothing wasted. Every delay that frustrated you now serves as proof that heaven's timeline is never late. The closed doors you mourned were actually redirections, keeping you aligned with divine order. Had they opened when you wanted, they would have led you into distraction disguised as opportunity. But heaven waited until you could handle blessing without losing balance. And now the season has turned. You will begin to notice subtle shifts, favor that flows naturally, connections that align effortlessly, opportunities that match your anointing instead of draining it. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Heaven is publicly restoring what private faith sustained. This vindication won't come with thunder or applause, it will come with peace. Those who once questioned your worth will watch you walk in quiet authority. No speeches, no defense, just grace doing its work. Vindication, after all, is not about being seen, it's about being understood. In this phase, your posture matters more than your pace. Move slowly, speak softly, and let fruit speak louder than frustration. The greatest proof of restoration is peace that doesn't need to explain itself. You are not here to convince anyone. You are here to reflect what heaven has done. You've been tempered by trials, softened by mercy, strengthened by surrender. You now carry an atmosphere that cannot be faked. People will feel it when you enter the room, the calm that follows storms, the dignity that only grace can teach. You are becoming a living illustration of divine reliability. This is not pride, it's purpose fulfilled. Vindication is not the removal of enemies, it's the restoration of clarity. You can finally see why you had to walk the long way, why silence lasted so long, why loss was necessary for transformation. God wasn't denying you, he was defining you. When the unveiling happens, stay humble. The purpose of revelation is always redemption. The same grace that lifted you will one day flow through you to lift others. Remember, heaven doesn't just raise the faithful, it releases them as healers, carriers of wisdom forged through waiting. You no longer walk as the wounded, you walk as the witness. You are the living proof that suffering refines, not ruins. Every scar glows now with meaning. Every tear has been recycled into empathy. So let this season unfold quietly. You don't need to announce what's already evident. Vindication doesn't arrive with noise, it arrives with light. And when it comes, even silence will feel sacred. Because heaven itself will be speaking through your peace. Stand still in that peace. It is the sign that the storm has completed its purpose. Heaven has declared the verdict, restored, refined, revealed. Your stillness is no longer hesitation, it's authority. Every quiet breath now carries the weight of proof that grace has finished what striving could not. Walk forward gently. Let your peace do the talking. Heaven's vindication doesn't shout, it shines. And through you, its light will keep revealing truth in silence. The final release never comes with fanfare. It arrives softly, like dawn breaking after a long night. Light spilling through cracks that once felt permanent. You may not notice it at first, the quiet shifting of seasons, the gentle unwinding of tension, but something in the atmosphere confirms it. The waiting is over. What was bound is free. What was hidden is visible. And what was delayed is now in motion. You can feel it in your chest, the steady rhythm of assurance. Not the trembling that once marked uncertainty, but the calm heartbeat of completion. Heaven doesn't rush endings, it perfects them. Every unfinished sentence in your story has been touched by divine punctuation. Where confusion once stood, clarity now settles. And now, as you breathe in this new air, you realize the truth. You are not the same person who started this journey. The voice that once trembled with doubt now speaks with quiet conviction. The hands that once reached in desperation now open in trust. The eyes that once searched for signs now simply see. You have become the message itself, living proof that what God begins, He finishes. And finally, heaven seals the message as declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 36. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Freedom doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers through peace that doesn't depend on circumstance. You've spent years chasing freedom, thinking it was a destination. But it was always a realization, an awareness that you were never truly chained, only convinced you were. The breaking wasn't external, it happened inside. When faith finally outweighed fear, this is what divine fulfillment feels like. It's not a single moment of triumph, it's a continual unfolding of peace. You're learning that freedom is not the absence of struggle, but the absence of bondage within it. It's walking through the same world with new eyes, seeing everything differently because grace has rewritten your lens. Every block that once silenced your purpose has become a stepping stone. Every delay that frustrated you has turned into proof that divine timing never fails. You are not behind, you are aligned. The release didn't come late, it came layered, preparing you for longevity. Not just visibility. Heaven's timing is like a river. It carves its way patiently through even the hardest stone. You have been that stone shaped, softened, refined. The edges that once cut are now smooth from surrender. You are no longer fighting the current. You are flowing with it. The message that was once blocked 3 times has now completed its course. And in doing so, it has mirrored your own life. You, too, were delayed but not denied, hidden, not forgotten, tested, not broken. And now, just as the message found its way through, so have you. The same divine, let them see it now, that released these words has also released you. Look around. The pieces that never made sense are falling into place. You can trace the fingerprints of God over every detour and disappointment. You thought you lost time, but heaven has been storing it, ready to return it, multiplied. This is not recovery, it's redemption. The kind where nothing wasted stays wasted. Freedom is not loud because it doesn't need to be. True release speaks through your peace, your patience, your posture. You've stopped striving to be seen because you understand now you were never unseen. You were being seasoned. You are walking into visibility not as a seeker of validation, but as a vessel of completion. Heaven's light rests easily on you because you've been tempered enough to hold it. What once would have overwhelmed you now flows naturally through you. The message you carry is not borrowed, it's embodied. This is not the end of your story, it's the unveiling of it. What begins in revelation ends in realization. The cycle has completed, and you are now the echo of every divine word spoken over you since the beginning. So breathe deeply. Feel the weight that has lifted, the rhythm that has settled, the certainty that hums in your bones. You are free, utterly, completely, quietly free. And as heaven looks upon you, it smiles not because the journey was perfect, but because it was purposeful. You didn't need to understand every moment. You only needed to keep walking. And you did. The message has been seen. The chosen have awakened. The fire continues. Freedom now flows through every breath you take. It no longer needs proof or praise. It simply exists, alive within you, steady as sunrise after endless night. Walk forward, radiant and unafraid. The silence around you isn't emptiness, it's peace announcing completion. What was once blocked now lives fully through you. And now, the message has completed its journey. What was blocked has been seen. What was delayed has been delivered. And what was hidden has been revealed through you. But remember, light is never meant to end where it begins. Every time it touches a heart, it continues its mission. You are part of that continuation. When this message found you, it wasn't random, it was recognition. Heaven knew that your spirit would understand, that your light would resonate. So as it settles within you, let it move outward. Let your presence become an extension of this truth. When you like or share, don't do it out of habit. Do it as a reflection of gratitude. Each act of sharing is like releasing a paper lantern into the night sky. You never know who might look up and find direction in its glow. And when you comment, you are not adding noise, you are adding testimony. Every word you leave behind becomes a pebble in the river of light, creating ripples that reach unseen shores. Someone scrolling through shadows might read your line and feel their heart beat again. Choosing to subscribe is more than staying connected. It's keeping the rhythm of awakening alive. It means saying, I will keep returning to the flame that reminds me who I am. You become part of a circle of light that grows stronger with every return. If your heart ever feels led to donate, let it be gentle, never pressured. See it as adding oil to the lamp that has kept your spirit burning. Every seed sown sustains the light, ensuring that words like these continue reaching souls who need them most. Because light doesn't belong to one, it belongs to all who keep it alive. Your presence here proves that the fire still spreads. So take what you've felt, share what has stirred you, and let the current of hope flow forward through your hands. Every light you tend, every word, every share, every gift becomes part of the same constellation heaven uses to guide the lost home. Thank you for walking this journey. May your path remain bright, your faith remain steady, and your heart remain open to the whispers of heaven. The message has been seen. Now let the light continue.